Hey there, you smart, creative person. If we haven't met, I'm Logan from Music for Makers, a royalty-free music subscription service. Today I'd like to talk to you about how you can improve your creative productivity, how you can make more stuff in less time. So I recently hit an important milestone. I created 70 songs in the course of a year, a little more than a song a week for the last 365 days. In that process, as you might imagine, I learned a few things about creativity, and I'd like to share some of these insights with you. So let's move on to lesson number 1, which is you can force creativity. Now, there's a pretty widely believed myth when it comes to creativity and art. You just have to wait for inspiration to strike. You can't force it. It has to come to you. The reality is you can force creativity. You can set yourself up to discover inspiration rather than wait for it to hit you. There are 3 things when it comes to forcing creativity that really helped me. So number 1, you need an audience, a group of people waiting and expecting something from you. That gives you a little bit of pressure and provides a little incentive to create. This has been a huge motivator for me. Music for Makers has had a group of people who are expecting one song to come every week by email. So every week, that's kind of honestly what keeps me going, is knowing that there's all these people out there that are waiting for a new song, and if I don't deliver, then they'll be disappointed. Number 1, you need an audience that helps you force creativity. Number 2, you need a deadline. When you don't have a deadline, you can always push back till tomorrow, but with a deadline, you have to get stuff done. So number 1, you need an audience. Number 2, you need a deadline. Number 3, I think you need a routine. A routine helps you get in the right mindset. It can actually help you condition your brain, train your creative mind, so that when you're in a certain environment, you automatically start generating these ideas. Inspiration finds you more frequently. You come to expect that when you're in this environment at this time and these certain factors are at play, that means it's time to create. This area is actually where I create every week, where the songs take form and go from nothing to fully created song in a week. And generally I follow a pretty strict schedule. The writing and everything usually happens at the same time of day, and it allows me to get a lot more done more quickly. I challenge you to try to force creativity, even if you are not feeling creative, if you're not feeling inspired, try to get started, because often when you get the ball rolling, you find inspiration along the way. So here's insight number 2. The more you create, the more opportunities you will have to succeed. This isn't really revolutionary, it's actually kind of just basic math, right? You are creating more opportunities by creating more. For example, when I created 70 songs in the last year, I created a lot of opportunities to either succeed or fail with those songs. When you create, you will create some things that you do not think are that wonderful, but other people might. So there are a few other benefits of creating more often. One, it kind of eases the tendency to be a perfectionist. So if you're like most creative people I know, you're a perfectionist. You want everything to be right. You'll tweak and you'll iterate until your project is perfect. The problem with that is no project is ever perfect, and if you keep doing that, you will never ship, which means you will never finish that project and move on to another one. If you create more frequently, you'll lower that compulsion to make it perfect. So many projects never see the light of day simply because their creator is endlessly trying to make it better, which is great to an extent, but you have to eventually just let it go and see what the reaction is, and then from there you can improve based on what you've learned. Now you may be wondering how you actually find the time to create more stuff. Like, how do you make enough time for that? I think your approach to creativity has a lot to do with it. So I take what I call a minimalist approach to creation, and basically what that means is you limit your options. It's just minimalism, which is, doing more with less. So when you give yourself constraints, it allows you to improvise off of those. It gives you something to work from, which when you have so many options, it's kind of paralyzing in a way. When you take a minimalistic approach, it allows you to create more often because you're not spending so much time just trying to figure out what to do next, have all these options, right? So the third and final lesson I would like to share before our time is finished here is that creating is really just remixing. Einstein had this theory of combinatory or combinatory play. I'm not really sure how you say it, and I'm pretty sure I always mispronounce it, but the idea is really simple. Basically, you take 2 things and combine them, and that's creativity. This is actually a really common theme throughout history among creatives, and it's, Einstein just gave it a complicated name. There aren't really new ideas, there's just ideas that improve upon past ideas. There's just iterations of good ideas. So like the iPhone, for example, initially was an MP3 player and a cell phone. Now it's a lot more, of course, but that was, initially a new invention, but it wasn't really new. It was just a revised combination of ideas. Henry Ford actually wrote, "I invented nothing new. I simply assembled the discoveries of other men." There's a famous artist, Austin Kleon, who named his book Steal Like an Artist. And the whole idea is that creating is really just kind of a refined version of stealing. Obviously not like plagiarizing, but taking something, an existing idea, and then tweaking it and making it yours and making it a new creation of some kind. So those are the 3 insights. You can force creativity. If you create more often, you will have more opportunities to succeed. And creating is simply remixing. So that's it. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me today. I hope you found this video helpful. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so that you can get more videos like this in the future. Until then, see ya.